So on the left top, you see Sergio and TJ. They were office mates, and as a result, they became really good friends. I started going to an eating club every day, and that's how I met Sergio and TJ. Then I started taking tennis classes at Stanford, and that's how I met Lada. And one day, I invited Lada over to my eating club, and that's how she met TJ. And TJ and Lada met, they fell in love, and they got married. And moving on, Oliver and Duncan were undergraduates at Stanford University, and they were roommates, and they met in their freshman dorm. Stephanie and Rika, they have been best friends forever. They went to the same high school, and they were lucky to be in the same college. Oliver and Stephanie met during the freshman orientation. Oliver introduced Stephanie to Duncan. Duncan had a frog named Kermit, and Stephanie, knowing how much Rika likes frogs, introduced Rika to Duncan. So Duncan and Rika met, and they fell in love, and they got married. So how do I know all these people? So I met Oliver at a department lunch at Stanford. And Eva and Oliver met, not in the real world, they met online on Orkut.com. And at the time, Oliver was in New York, and Eva was in Estonia. And Oliver flew over eventually to meet her, and then they fell in love, and they got married. And then Eva moved to New York with him. Stephen and Peter both really like humor, and they're both big fans of the Onion website. And they both had personals on the site, and they ended up meeting each other on the service, and they fell in love, and they got married. Eva and Oliver had a baby named Marius, so he comes into the picture. And here you kind of see how online social networks start affecting how relationships are evolving over time. And the neat thing is, with social networks, in real life, you only have like a small limited number of people you can meet. But with online social networking, right away you get to meet millions of different people, and it opens all sorts of opportunities. You find romance, you find activity partners, make friends, find jobs. If I had to paint a whole picture at Stanford, there were a whole bunch of more people. I met Renee through Oliver. Renee and Matt were close friends. Matt took me to a party. That's where I met Ken. Ken and Tina got married. That's how I knew Tina. And the list goes on. Now let's go back to web communities and see how things actually start evolving. In 1995, Classmates started, and that's the first sign of online social networking. On Classmates, what you do is you enter your high school and college and what year you were there, and as a result, you get connected to your classmates. In 1996, 6 Degrees launched and became one of the most successful online networks with over 3 million members. On 6 Degrees, you could do queries like, tell me all the environmental lawyers within 3 degrees. And 3 degrees means my friends, friends of friends, or friends of friends of friends. Unfortunately, they were not able to monetize the servers and had to shut down in 2000. In 1999, QQ launched as the IM-based community. At the same time, Cyberworld launched as a forum-based web community. And then LiveJournal launched as a blogging community, which became a social network. In 2001, Club Nexus launched at Stanford. And I want to tell you about the story with Club Nexus and how I got into this social networking space. When I was a student at Stanford, one of the things I noticed was it was really hard to make new friends. If you're an undergraduate, you meet most of your friends during your freshman year and spend the rest of your college life with them. If you're a grad student, you only meet people through your classes and department. And there are so many wonderful, interesting people, students on campus, and I wanted to make it really easy to meet each other. Another thing I noticed was most of the times you meet friends through your friends. So I thought, if there's like a cute girl or boy in your history class, the easiest way to meet them is through friends. What if that network was available online? That's how the idea of Club Nexus came around. And Club Nexus launched in November 2001 at Stanford as an online social network. and it became pretty viral. In 1 month, we had a third of undergraduates sign up. A year later, I was graduating from Stanford, and I want to keep the connections as people finish off school. So I started working on InCircle, and InCircle became the Stanford Alumni Social Network that launched in 2002. Right after Stanford, I joined Google, and at Google, I want to create something that's more global, not just for undergraduates or alumni, but some place where anyone globally can connect. And that's how the idea of Orkut.com came around. And you can see all sorts of different social networks popping up at the same time. For instance, Friendster launched right after InCircle. You see LinkedIn, which is a professional social network. You see MySpace, which launched mostly in LA around the music community. And then you see more specialized networks. Even, for instance, if you look at Dogster was a social network for dogs where they become friends and socialize with each other. And you also see kid-related children's social networks like WebKids and Club Penguin. One of the latest big networks is Twitter, which is a status update-based social network that also has like a really high component on mobile. Now I'd like to talk about Club Nexus a bit more because we have really interesting insights from Club Nexus. So Club Nexus launched as a social network on Stanford campus, and it had the usual set of components that a social networking has. Any online social network has a profile and a graph, friend graph, basically your friend list or your buddy list. And here you have the same similar set of features like a forum, event listing, and so on. And if you look at when people logged in on Club Nexus, you can see that the peak hours were around 11 o'clock to midnight. A lot of students have classes at like 7 or 8 a.m. and the last thing they did was log into Club Nexus and spend time. One of these interesting things was that the peak traffic was around finals time. So when students have finals, the last thing they want to do is actually study, and they can do anything to procrastinate, and that's what you would always see on social networks like Orkut.com, where there's a higher peak during like finals and exam time.